Have you ever wondered, once you make a change on your website, if Google's actually going to see that change? Have you wondered if there is something happening on your website that users can see that Google just can't see? Well, I have got a fantastic tool to share with you today that is called Page-oscope. So as you know, I've done some work with MobileMoxie in the past, and I'm so excited to show you their latest release, the Page-oscope Extension. What's up, everyone? I'm Bree E. Anderson, and it is time for another analytics attack. So if you go over to the Google Chrome extension store, and you type in Page-oscope, Page-oscope, the very first result you're going to see is Page-oscope by MobileMoxie, and you just add it to Chrome. Now, this extension is completely free. MobileMoxie does have paid options, but with this extension, you'll be able to test up to 10 pages every single day. Amazing. Once you get the extension, you can just be navigating around the internet here. Once you see a page you want to test, you simply just click the extension and it opens up MobileMoxie Page-oscope and will automatically render an iPhone 12 version of that page. You'll also have the option to check out the Android version of the page and a desktop version of a page. This is great for testing and seeing what other user experiences are going to be like. So you can see that up here, if you use an Android device, you get all the way down to the word "and." When you come and look at it on an iPhone 12, just above the fold, we just get to Denver International Airport with a wide. That's it. So we lose about 2 sentences, right? That's not that big of a deal. It might be a bigger deal in other instances, but you can see everything looks right, everything works correctly. Awesome. Now, this isn't just a view on different devices kind of tool. What's really cool for my technical SEOs out there is that Page-oscope will show you both the rendered and unrendered HTML for the page, and they have a built-in diff checker. I want to show you all of these different things. So if we come into the unrendered HTML here, we can scroll through and see everything. Now this is all of the HTML. No JavaScript functions have been put into place. This is just simply the HTML, the raw HTML. Now if we look at the rendered HTML, we are going to see things loaded by JavaScript. We're going to see essentially what you would see if you right-click inspect on the page, right? Now here's the thing. Google is going to be indexing and crawling the unrendered HTML. At least at first, Google is starting to render pages over time, but it's not at 100% yet. So unrendered HTML is really where you want all of your important content to live. So you can see the unrendered HTML, you can see the rendered HTML, double check that all of your JavaScript is working and everything looks good. Now, once we get into the diff checker, you will see that there will be things highlighted in red and highlighted in green. If it's highlighted in red, then it is unrendered. If it's highlighted in green, that's what was rendered. And if it's just in this gray area, then it's on both rendered and unrendered HTML. There are no differences. As you scroll through, you can see, like, for instance, the doc type isn't loaded in or rendered. It just says doc type here. We can see some things up here, but there's no real differences in this. Now, this is an asynchronous script, and you can see that it did end up rendering, right? So then we see a lot more code here, which is fine. Now, once we get down a bit, you'll see some things in dark red, and that means that there has been a change in the code somewhere, in that things are showing up differently. That might be, needed to check in the rendered versus unrendered, because remember, we want unrendered to have all the most important information in it for Google. Now, I pulled up this specific web page because when I come to this page and I start scrolling down here, you'll see that eventually I'm going to hit this. So in the header container in unrendered fashion, like in the unrendered version, there's nothing in the header. But when I come to the rendered version's no information. Then we come down to the nav container and there's still no information in unrendered, and there's all of this information in the rendered form. Now, this is an issue because if Google came to this website and looked at the unrendered HTML, they would not see all of the links in the navigation. And as you can see, there are a ton. And it looks like they're written for SEO purposes. Rent a car near me, you know an SEO wrote that. And Google's not going to be crawling those links from this specific navigation. And it's going to hurt your internal linking and crawlability and indexability inevitably. Something that I noticed was, again, at the bottom of this page, there's a ton of content here that's created specifically for SEO. It's very noticeable as someone who's worked in SEO. I can see that parking in Denver, this was created because they know that those are keywords around Denver. They're trying to make their content more localized. Cool. But when I look at the unrendered HTML, if I go to find parking, it's nowhere to be found. And when I look in the diff checker, if I look for parking, right? Anything for parking, nothing comes up. So what I did was I took the URL here and I threw it into Google's mobile friendly test, and cool, it comes back as mobile friendly. But when I view the tested page and I go through the HTML here, if I look, parking, nowhere to be found, that information didn't come through. And when I look at the screenshot, I see that it's cut right at the address. This is because likely the page is loaded after the fact through JavaScript, right? All this content is coming through using JavaScript. So anything after the hours of operation, address, and phone number is loaded using JavaScript, which means all of this content that was created for SEO purposes is no longer available. So again, if you're a technical SEO and you're trying to figure out if what you have created is going to translate for Google, if your users are going to be able to see it correctly no matter what kind of device they're on or where they're based at in the country, this is going to be a invaluable tool for you, especially because you get 10 free searches every single day. So make sure you check out MobileMoxie. There will be a link below in the description, and I'll see you next time for another analytics attack.